Okay, so I saw that the Breakfast Club guys had a talk with Larry Elderman. Don't really know who this guy is. Definitely do not follow him. As a person who's pretty proximate to conservative circles, I haven't really heard much about him. I've got to say the popular person in conservative circles right now is that Indian dude Vivek Ramaswamy. So I did see that he went on the Club Random show. I'm probably gonna watch that today just to kind of hear what he has to say. Anyway, um, some things I thought were interesting about this conversation. So it sounds like Larry Elderman is trying to make a case for like fatherlessness in the black community. Um, School choice, that seems to be an issue that he's passionate about. But it like I'm not really sure. And then he was talking about like crime, violence in the black community. Like all of those are issues, but here's the problem that I have with like the black male politicians who speak about these issues. Like they've just been these are the same issues that have been going on for so long. And like I saw something the other day that was like some political person in Chicago got up and literally said, "We would like to stop the gun violence from like 8 a.m. to noon so that the children can get home from school." I was just like, wait, what? Like, I mean, that kind of sounds insane when you really think about it. Because they're not saying, like, oh my God, please don't kill people. Let the black males live. That's not what they're saying at all. They're literally saying, like, we know that you guys are going to kill each other, but can you, like, pause the killing for, like, 4 hours just so the kids can get home from school? And then y'all can keep killing each other. But we just need the kids. It's like, that's not how these things work, sir. Like, yep, that it doesn't really work like that. So, what the fuck? That's a very strange request, but that definitely happened. Now, I watching the conversation was just kind of brutal from both sides because I feel like it's funny to see Charlemagne the God occupy this position as like a black father married to a black woman who's like so he's like a father and a husband now. Like this is the new this is his current like identity that he's like promoting. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a very positive thing. This doesn't really change any of my opinions about Charlemagne the God. Like to me, Charlemagne is like a pseudo intellectual. I think it's useful that now the Breakfast Club is becoming more politically like inclined just because there are so many probably illiterate black people who like turn to the Breakfast Club as like their major news source. And just the fact that they're talking about any issues is better than talking about no issues. But then there's like the whole disconnect of like actually participating in civic society, which is like, so the weird part about it was it kind of felt like Charlemagne the God and his entire team were just trying to like, they were trying to get Larry Elderman to talk about issues in white society, and almost like compare and contrast like the reasons that white society aren't working and then compare those to the reasons that black society was not working. And there's like a woman on the panel and it was like every single thing he said she was like picking it apart. And then there was kind of like Larry Elderman's like inability to understand like systemic racism and just some also raw numbers about how it is actually pretty hard for, you know, black people in America to be upwardly mobile. So it was like a disconnect on both sides. And it was just kind of painful to watch. But you know, I do think that those type of painful conversations are the conversations that need to be had to push society forward for black Americans. But to me, that conversation was very indicative of like, I feel like if you're a continental African, that shit just doesn't apply to you at all. You should just watch it for like comedy, really. Like it's like not even funny. Like the black American community is dying off at rates that are just like it's so bad. It's like it's really bad. Okay, like it just there's not gonna be. It's like listening to shit like the things that like Kodak Black or like I feel like Kodak Black. I guess whoever this new girl people were talking about, Sexy Red. Um, all these people, they're like tokens or something for like the black society heroes, maybe, or icon. I don't really understand. I'm actually very confused about it, but um some people are how do you say, like they are impressed, they are empathizing, identifying with Kodak Black, Sexy Red, people like that. I don't really understand the stories because like those aren't my personal stories. Um, not that that matters at all. It doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, what probably does matter is that like um all the things that Larry Elderman was talking about, just in terms of like the literacy rates being really low, school choice needing to be a thing. He made that one point that all the conservatives make. He's like, well, if you just basically finish high school and you can read and write at a pretty like standard level and you stay away from the criminal justice system, um, and you just get a job and don't quit the job and you until you get like another job, you'll probably stay out of poverty. And that's actually pretty true. Uh, that's true. That's a very simple formula for life that works. And I don't know. I kind of feel like you don't really necessarily need a father to tell you that. I do think that there's a lot to say about like bad peers, right? Like there's a lot of people like you could start to go down an entire rabbit hole of like gutter culture, and what I mean by that is just like it's drugs, it's alcohol abuse, okay, it's like drug abuse, it's like overly sexual promiscuity, it is children outside of wedlock, it is like dilapidated housing, it is low credit scores, all of these things that are actually like indicative of, you know, not really living a quality life. And there are things that you like, everyone has to get started somewhere. And I just really feel like it's important for like high school seniors. And I would say this is like regardless of race to just kind of understand where they currently are and like what what they currently need. I feel like those are the questions that aren't being really answered. Like I know that either tomorrow or the day after, I'm going to have to buy like some bleach, some deodorant, and some dinner. Like I have to buy that with the money that I earned this weekend. Um, I also like I'm looking around my apartment. I'm gonna have to like take out trash and wash some clothes before I go to bed tonight. I'm gonna have to like floss and brush my teeth. I already washed my feet. You know what I'm saying? Like understanding just like the basic shit that like you need to do to live for your life. You have to go do those things. It does, if every individual was just simply working on like doing those things for themselves, people would be fine. People would be fine. But for some reason, like they're just like not even doing that, which is a bit weird. That's weird. People should be doing that. Those things are important. Um, I guess maybe another part of just kind of like staying on the straight and narrow, it's just understanding that if you look around and, you know, the people around you aren't doing those things, there's probably a problem. But if the people around you are doing those things, then you're probably doing okay. So that's another thing where, you know, I look at Keita Rose and kind of that little video that she made where she was like criticizing all the problems that people are having. And I would just say, if you're trying to understand, establish like a baseline, um, maybe realize that like if you're talking to a person who has a job, and especially a person who has like a home, like an apartment or something, that person's probably like they're doing something right, right? Like they've at least got like the baseline shit of their life figured out, and that is like that's an important baseline to draw. Like, so when you're trying to understand like who's really fucked up and like who's not, like the people who don't have a place to like live yet and they don't have a job, like that's where you know like who's teetering across. If a person is above that bar, even if it's like on the very low end, their job sucks, their apartment is shitty, they have an apartment and they have a job, like, okay, then you can start talking about, oh, I need to get a better apartment, no, I need to get a better job, or I need to get a better this, and like leveling up. But you got to start at a level, you know?